Kakaosh Boker Tov, we're going to be continuing on Daf Chet Amud Aleph, 8A1. So the Gemara was speaking about, and we're going back to the Svara to explain the Svara of Abaye v'Rava, that they held the machloka between Rav and Rav Yehuda, right? And basically it's from Shmuel, that's where Rav Yehuda accepted it from, it says like this, that which we thought at the beginning, right? Which means that which we thought at the beginning, Ben shirvu, ben shelo irvu plige, that there was no difference whether there was an eruv done or not an eruv done, and the machloket was there, which means that there's two machlokot here. One machloket is when they made an eruv, that according to Rav, he says it's a sur, even in such a case, because according to him, it's considered mavui mefulash, it's open to the Reshut Rabim, and therefore it needs a tzurat petach. And according to Rav Yehuda, it's like a mavui satum, and therefore it's going to be permitted. And a second machloket is when they did not do an eruv. According to Rav, it's mashma that if the chatzer is open up to the Reshut Rabim, it's a sur to be metaltel. But if the chatzer is not open up to the Reshut Rabim, it's going to be permitted. Even though it's parutz to the chatzer, completely open up, right? It's still going to be permitted to be metaltel, to carry in the mavui itself. Okay, even though they didn't do an eruv. Now, according to Rav Yehuda, he says that if the mavui is finishing to the backyard, so it's mashma that only because it's finishing to the backyard, in the backyard, right, does not need uruv chatzerot. But if it was finishing and then it was open, right, they would need it. Okay, so that's what we're trying to say. Okay, so he says, so in such a case, birvu b'may plige, b'shelo irvu b'may plige. So what's the case then? Meaning, according to the havamin of the Gemara, we're just starting Chet Amud Aleph. According to the havamin of the Gemara, what is the machloket then if the case where they did do an eruv or they didn't do an eruv? So it explains the Gemara, b'shelo irvu plige, b'nideh mibachutz, v'shaveh mibifnim. Meaning, in a case where they didn't do an eruv, the machloket between them is what happens if you could see it on the outside, but it's equal on the inside. So here you have a picture where you have the lechi sticking out on the outside. It's protruding on the outside. But on the inside, it's exactly leveled. It's equal. There's nothing protruding. So the lechi is as if it's on the wrong side. It's going on the outside. It's not going on the inside. Okay? So it says, in such a case, it looks like there's no mechitza. Okay? So he comes and he says like this. So according to this, Rav holds that it's considered a mechitza whether to the chatzer or whether to the mavui. And therefore, you're allowed to carry inside of it. Okay? However, Rav Yehuda holds that this mechitza is not considered a mechitza only to do with the chatzer, but not to do with the mavui. And therefore, it comes out that you're not allowed to carry inside of it. Be'irvu. What is the machloket now if they did make the eruv? So it says, Kamipalgeb de Rav Yosef. So then the machloket between Rav and Rav Yehuda is the machloket within Rav Yosef himself. The Amar Rav Yosef, it says Rav Yosef, in the Shita, right, of Rav Yehuda, his rabbi, Lo shanu ela shekala lemser rechava. That's only if it finishes in the middle of the rechava. Aval kala letzidei rechava, but if it's on the side of the rechava, asur, then you're not allowed to be metaltel in the mavui without tikkun, but then it shows that it is mefulash. So here, right, you have the picture. Look at the picture. Here you have that the chatzer, right, look, it's at the end. So therefore it goes straight through. Okay, everyone, this is a rechava, which is like the backyard of the house, and then it's breached to the Reshut Rabim also again. Here's the front of the Reshut Rabim, and this is the mavui. Okay, so in such a case, if it's at the end, it's going to be considered a problem and you need to fix it. If it's going to be in the middle, which is over here, so then you don't need to do anything to fix it. It's going to be okay. Here's the mavui, and then it's only in the middle, but it's not completely at the end. It's like a breach in the middle. So then it would be okay. You don't need to do any tikkun in order to carry within it. So Amar Rabba comes and he says, that which you said, if it comes out in the middle of the rechava, in the middle of the backyard, so then it's going to be permitted to carry in the entire mavui. That's not if it's going to be completely parallel, meaning the mavui comes up and then it's not 100% that the breach is right in front of you. It's a little bit on the side or a little bit on the other side. So therefore it's not completely straight, but if it was going to be completely straight, aval, Ze keneged ze, if it's exactly straight ahead, it's going to be a sur. Which makes sense, because if it's going to be straight ahead, it's like a street which is going straight ahead. They don't realize you're going through a backyard now. You're just walking through a thoroughfare, through a side street, and then you're just going straight. You don't even realize. So Amar of Meshashia says of Meshashia, Hadya Marta, that what you said, Zeshelo Kenega Zemutar, if it's not going to be exactly opposite, it's going to be permitted. Lo Amrana Lechavad Rabin. It's only going to be if it's going to be to the Lechava, which is Shayach to the Rabin, to a lot of people. Aval Lechavad Yachid, but if it's going to be a Lechava of an individual, Zimnin de Mimlach Aleh Ubani Lebatim. Sometimes what happens is that they build houses. And what happens is that all of a sudden it's going to be, and then it's going to become asur. Let me see if we have a picture here. So basically, he's trying to say that we should make a decree that if it is that we're going to come and we're going to permit you to come and carry in such a way, maybe they're going to start building houses in the backyard. Remember, it's not like nowadays that they come and they put you all these restrictions. You could have built whatever you want, whenever you want. So imagine I'm going to build now my backyard. I'm going to build another house. And when I'm going to build the other house, it's going to make it exactly parallel to what we had before. So then what's going to happen is that if I'm going to build such a house, so then it comes out that you weren't permitted anymore to carry there, but you were already accustomed to carrying there. And that's what's the problem going to be. Okay? So says the Gemara, Umena Teimra de Shanilan. How do we know that there's going to be a difference between a Rechavad Rabim and a Rechavad Yachid? How do you know if there's a difference between a backyard that belongs to a few people or a backyard that belongs only to one or two people, right? Or one person, an individual. So says the Gemara, Te'amar Ravi Merada, Baravada Mervitza. Says Ravi Baravada and name Mervitza. Maaseh Mevui Echad Shetzido Echad Kala Yam, Tzido Echad Kala Lashpa. There was a story that there was one part of the Mavui that was finishing to the sea, and the other side was finishing towards, right? The other side of the Mavui was finishing towards the Ashpa. Okay? So that means imagine, you have one side of the Mavui finishing towards the garbage dump, and another one was finishing towards the sea. Okay? That means it was only finished like on one side going to Reshut Rabim. Okay, so now what happens? Uvama said they came in front of Rabbi and they wanted to know whether they're allowed to come and carry inside of it or not. Velo amarba, and he didn't say lo hetev velo isur. He did not say not permitted or not prohibited. Isur lo amarba, he didn't say an isur, the kind of mechitzot. He didn't say you have mechitzot, which means you have the partitions, which are like the walls surrounding it. Okay, and he didn't say it was permitted. But maybe they were going to take away the garbage dump. All of a sudden, the sea will be full of sand and things like that, right? And then that's it. And then it's going to become, you were permitted, carrying there, and all of a sudden now it becomes prohibitive because now there's nothing there. So it says the Gemara, do we really suspect that the sea is all of a sudden going to start putting up sand there, and now it's going to be like a sand part, or that all of a sudden the garbage dump, they're going to just take away all the garbage? Shemati natel ashpa, v'atran we learned. This is a Mishnah later on. Ashpa b'reshut rabim gavo 10 tfachim. If it was already going to be tall, 10 tfachim. Chalon al gaba zorkin la b'Shabbat. If it's got a window, right, on top of it, you're allowed to throw on Shabbat. There's no problem. That means you could throw from the house into the garbage dump, and there's no problem. Okay, why? Because it's like a reshut yachid. So there's no problem whatsoever. So it comes out that we're not going to suspect that one day it's going to minimize and then you don't have this problem. Okay? So he says, Alma, so you see from here, Shani ben Ashpad Rabim, Ashpad Yachid. So there's a difference between an Ashpad Rabim and Ashpad Yachid. Hachenami, so to hear, Shani ben Rechavad Rabim and Rechavad Yachid. There's a difference between a Rechavad Yachid and a Rabim. So Rabbanan Mai, according to the rabbis, what's halacha? So Amar of Yosef bar Avdimi, he says of Yosef bar Avdimi, Tana, we learned in the right of Chachamim Osim, Chachamim, they prohibit. So Amar of Nachman says, halacha k'divrei Chachamim, halacha is like the Chachamim. So Ika de Amri, those that say, Amar of Yosef bar Avdimi, Tana Chachamim matirim. Amar of Nachman, El halacha k'divrei Chachamim. The halacha is not like the Chachamim. So it comes out that there's going to be a that Rav Nachman comes and he says the halacha is not like the Chachamim, but rather it's prohibited to be mitaltel in such a case. Okay, you're not allowed to carry in such a case. Mereimar pasek la lesura be'azli. It says over here, okay, Mereimar, he used to come and he used to, basically where the sea was very close to Babel, it says he used to come and it says over here that he didn't want to be somech on the mechitza of the yam, of the sea. Why? Because he said, maybe be'emet, what's going to happen is that Shemi aleh yam sirton, maybe it's going to come and it's going to get rid of the mechitza, because now if it's going to come and bring sand, all of a sudden there's no mechitzot anymore, there's no sea anymore that's stopping. Okay? So he says, so now what's going to happen? It says, Ha'u mavu yakum. There was once a mavu yakum. Remember, the mavu yakum is like the resh, which means reshut rabim and reshut rabim. A mavui coming here and then finishing like this. So it's like a resh sign. And houses all on the sides. Okay? So it says, Ha'u mavu yakum, to have a basura that was in surah. Karuch budya. They put a machzelet, which is like a carpet. And what happened was that they put it in order to fix it. That means they put like a carpet and then a lechi. Here you have the picture. Here they put the lechi at the part of the, remember, this is a resh form. Right? You see the mavui? It's like the resh. Here's the lechi. And then here they put a carpet. There's the carpet in the corner. And here they put a lechi, right? The side post. Okay? So what happened? It says over here, right? Amar of Chassa says of Chassa, Halo kirav velo kishmuel. He says one saying, this is not like Rav, not like Shmuel. According to Rav, it's Torato Mefulash, and therefore you need Surat HaPetach. That means it's not just enough stamp to put a carpet on that entrance. And according to Shmuel, Torato Satum, Hanamili lechi me'alya, but that's only if it's a good lechi. Here, it's not a lechi le'alma, it's a carpet. So given the nashi bezika v'shadelev, what's going to happen is a wind will come, will knock down the carpet. So local, it's nothing. If he connected it, chabre, so then you have to connect it. So then it's going to be okay, according to Shmuel. But here you're not doing like Rav, not doing like Shmuel. So Gufa, so we wanted to say, Amar Rav Yirmiyah Barabba says Yirmiyah Barabba, Amar Rav, and then Rav, Mavui shenifratz bimlo'o lechatzer, v'nifratza chatzer kenedo. When you have a mavui that was breached to the chatzer, so you have the mavui and it's breached to a courtyard. V'nifratza chatzer kenedo. Now the courtyard also is breached. Chatzer muter mavui yasu. So the chatzer is going to be permitted, and the mavui is going to be prohibited to carry inside of it. So Amar le Rabbi Barula le Rabbi Bevai Barabaye, Rabbi, isn't that our Mishnah? Chatzer ketana shenifratza legdola. When you have a small courtyard which is breached to a bigger courtyard, okay, gedola muteret. So the bigger one is permitted, and the smaller one is going to be prohibited. Why? Because it's like pitcha shel gdola. It's like the petach of the gdola. It's like the petach of the smaller one. So therefore, what's going on over here? So Amalei, he comes and he says, if it's going to be from over there, Havamina, I would have thought to say one of these words, if a lot of people don't travel through it. If a lot of people travel through it, I would say that even in the courtyard, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to be metal inside of it. Okay? So says the Gemara, we also learned this. Why? We learned it. It says chatzer and a braita. Chatzer sharabim nichatzim la bezov yotzim la bezov. What happens if you have a chatzer that they go in one way and then they go out another way? So then it's like a reshut rabim to do with tumah, and then a reshut yachid to do with Shabbat. It means to do with tumah, it's like a reshut rabim because people pass through it. To do with reshut yachid, to do with Shabbat, which means that since at the end of the day it's closed, enclosed, so then it's like a reshut yachid. So according to Shabbat, everything has to do with mechitzot. It has nothing to do with the fact that people pass through it or not. It's got a mechitza, it's got a wall. So says the Gemara, if it was from over there, I would have thought to say, one of these words, if it's not one opposite the other. Okay? Aval, however though, if it's going to be one opposite the other, I would say no, this is chetamul bet. Okay, daf 8b. I would say no. According to Rabba, that he says asur, that is going to be asur. Had the Rav, that which we said Rav, what are we talking about? Obviously, if the doors are not opposite each other. So why do we need two cases then? Why do we need two different braitas? Right? One of them talking about the Chatzer Rabim, which is considered like a Reshut Yechid to do the Shabbat, right? And that's also Divrei Rav. Well, you don't need two. So he says, if it was from over there, right? Avamina, I would have thought, say, halamina lizrok. It's only to be throwing something. But to be metaltel, I would say no, which means I would have thought that you're allowed to throw from the Reshut Rabim to the Chatzer. It's going to be chayav chatat and sekila if you did it purposely, right? But to do it metaltel, which means to do it carrying, I would have thought that it's not a Reshut Yechid, and you're not allowed to be metaltel. Now, even though from the Torah it is a Reshut Rabim, if you throw inside of it, you're going to be chayav. Why? Because I would have thought that since people go through it, the rabbis made it like a karmelit, and therefore it's going to be assumed the Rabbanan. So Kamashmanan comes to teach you that it's going to be mutar taltel, and there's no problem whatsoever. You're allowed to carry inside of it, and there's no problem. Okay? Itmar, it was stated, mavuya asui kenadal. When you have a mavui which is made like a nadal. And nadal is like a sheretz. It's called like, it's like a, one of these like lizards, one of these things that has a whole bunch of, not lizard, lizard only has 2 legs, right? Like a 2 and 2, right? Here we're talking about like a lot of legs in between, okay? So it's called here marbe raglaim. Let me see what it says over here, number 3. It doesn't say, does it say in English? What's the English word for it?
Centipede. I don't know, centipede.
Centipede, okay. It's got many, many legs, right? All down the body. It's got many legs. So that's the mavui. That's how it's made of. So Amar Abai say, "Oset surat hapetach legadol, vehanach kulu mishtar bebelechi v'korah." So you only have to do surat hapetach for the big one, and then all the rest is already enough for the lechi and korah. Here it is. You have the picture here. Look, all of these, you have entrances. So you do lechi, right, in every single one. But in the bigger one, you have to do the main one, Surat HaPetach, over here. This is a big one, which is open to everything. So this one, you have to do Surat HaPetach to everything. But then all the smaller ones, you only have to do one lechi or whatever it is. You do something small. You don't have to do something that big. Okay, on every single one. So Amar Abai says, "Oset surat hapetach legadol, v'anach kulu mishtaru belechi korah." It's already enough with a lechi or a korah. So Amar Rava comes and he says, "Keman, who's this going like Shmuel?" But he says, "Torah tokesadum." It's like a closed mavui. Lama la'tzu. So why do you need surat hapetach? Right? If you remember, this is like the resh, but instead of the resh going this way, it's longer this way and then shorter this way. So if it's like this in the picture, everyone has a picture in front of them. Yeah, they have like this and this. Shmuel said it was like a closed one. So why do you need Surat HaPetach? Furthermore, there was a Mavuy Akum in Narda, V'chashu ledrav, and they suspected for Rav, which means that they didn't need a Surat HaPetach. But rather Rava said, Surat HaPetach lekulu la'gisa. No, you have to do all the Surat HaPetachs in all on one side, and the other side is going to be permitted belechi v'korah, which means you have to do it the opposite way around. In this picture, on the top. Here, on every single one of the small ones, you need Surat HaPetach. And on the big one, you only need a lechi or korah. You see, that means on all the other ones, you need the Surat HaPetach. All of these ones, you have Surat HaPetach, Surat HaPetach, Surat HaPetach. All of these, you need Surat HaPetach. You see the Surat HaPetach, the form of a door? Form of a door? Form of a door.
Yes.
Here, lechi, or here also, the korah, and here, lechi. You understand? So that's what you have to do. So Amar Rav Kana Bar Tuvim Mishmei Rav Kana Bar Mimyon, Mishmei Rav Kana Bar Malkiyo, Mishmei Rav Kana Bar Rabbe Rav. Ve'amli Lansat who says Rav Kana Bar Malkiyo, Hainu Rav Kana Rabbe Rav. Mavui shetzido echad aroch vetzido echad katzar. What happens if you have one side is very aroch and one side is katzar? So here you have the picture. It's like a slanted. One part is further in and one part is further out. This is the mavui. This is the mavui, or also here the same thing. This is the mavui. Here it's outside and here it's on the inside. So how do you do the tzurat hapetach? How do you do the korah? So he says, pachom me'arba amot, if it's less than 4 amot of a slant, right, like a slant, what do you do? Maniach et hakorah belachson, just do it like diagonal. Arba'amot, if it's more than that, eno maniach et hakora, you cannot put it. Ela keneged hakatzar, but rather you have to do it by the katzar, which means you have to do it further in, and on the wall, which is shorter, you connect it to the other wall. That means you're going to have this protruding part of it that's not part of the eruv. Okay? Rava says, you can never do it diagonal. You always have to do it further in, when the shorter one is against the other wall. But I'm going to tell you the reasoning behind it. My reasoning is, what's the reasoning of a korah? Korah is the beam on the top. Because of a recognition. If it's going to be like a beam which is going diagonal, there's nothing recognizable. What's the reasoning of their reasoning? What's the reasoning of korah? Because it's a wall. So too, it's a wall now. What do I care if it's diagonal or not? At the end of the day, it's a wall. So that's it. So Amar Rav Kana says, since this shmatata is dealing with kohanim, which means that the ones which were permitting were kohanim. Because it was Rav Kahana and all the kohanim. So it says over here, right? Hade amarta, that which he said, and this is Rav Kahana. Hade amarta, that which he said, meniach kol balachson lo amran ela keshem balachsano yotem me'eser. That's only if it's not going to be more than 10 amot. But if you got the diagonal more than 10 amot, according to everybody, you cannot put it diagonal. According to everybody, right? You need it on the short side. Okay? You need it on the short side. So they come and they ask the following question: are you allowed to use underneath that korah or not? Are you allowed to use it? Are you allowed to carry underneath it or not? So Rav Yochanan said, you're allowed to use underneath the korah. You're not allowed to do underneath the korah. So says the Gemara, why don't we just say that the machlok between them is the more savar, the more holds, korah mishum eker, more savar kol mishum chitza. The machlok is what's the reasoning for the korah? Is it because you have to be recognition or recognizable, or does it have to be because of mechitza, because of a wall? So says the Gemara, no. The chule alma, according to everybody, is korah because of a recognition, because of to make it recognized. The more savar eker, more savar eker, where does the recognition be, on the inside or the outside? That's what it has to be. That's the machloka between them. If you want, you could answer. Really, we go because of mechitza. So what are we dealing with? The more savar chudo primi yored v'sotem, that it's going to go downwards and close it off. Umor savar chudo chitzon yored v'sotem. And the other one says it's going to go on the outer one, is going to go out and close it off. Which means, again, here the picture you have it that it's like sticking out. If you see it like it's sticking out over here and over here. So the question is, do we say that it goes down and closes it off or not? That's what we're asking. So Amar Rav Chasta says, Kol Modim, everyone agrees, Bevel Lechayayim, that between the two side posts, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to be mitaltel. So Bamine Rami Bar Chama Rav Chasta, asked Rami Bar Chama from Rav Chasta, Na'at Shtei Yetedo B'Shnei Kotlei Mavuim B'Chutz, if right now they stuck into the wall 2 yetedot, in the two, right, in the two things on the outside, and they put the korah on top of it, Mao, what's the halacha? So Amalei, so he says, the divrei matir, according to the one that's going to be matir, it's going to be asur. The divrei said, according to the one that's going to be, that said that it's going to be asur, it's going to be mutar. Rava says, the divrei said, according to the one that says that it's asur, it's also going to be asur. Ba'inan korah gabe mavui le'ekav, you need a korah on top of the mavui, and you don't have it, and therefore because of that, it's going to be a problem. So 8 Rava bar matzah Rava, asked Rava bar matzah to Rava, hayita korato, right, meshucha. Otruya. What happens if the korah on the top was, what it says over here, mashuch? Mashuch means it's further away from the wall, or tluya, or it's hanging. So here you have it. It's further away from the wall, or hanging. Okay, those two pictures. So that's what the Gemara is going to ask, and the Gemara is going to say, if it's going to be less than 3 tfachim, you don't need to do another korah. If it's more than 3 tfachim, you have to bring another korah in order to fix it, and then we continue with Zrat Hashem tomorrow.